In this third section on Ruth Ozeki's A Tale for the Time Being, Dr. Jerrine Tan gives her recommendations on similar and related novels. Please let us know in the comments if you've read any of these, or if you have any further recommendations. So to follow on from our discussion about Ruth Ozeki's A Tale for the Time Being, we're going to have a short section on recommendations, so books that maybe are similar or related in some way to the one previously discussed. So Jerrine, what, for people who maybe enjoyed A Tale for the Time Being or are interested in some of those issues, any other novels you would suggest that people read?
Yeah, a number. I highly recommend another of Ozeki's novels, My Year of Meats. I think that was her second novel, or first. But anyway, My Year of Meats is really good. Also, a kind of transnational
Mm,
novel that's the US and Japan. Um, Convenience Store Woman is a more recent one by Sayaka Murata,
mm,
about a woman who, is very dedicated to her job as a convenience store
yeah,
worker.
I really
Meiko
enjoyed that. Yeah,
Kawakami.
I think
Yeah.
living in Asia, Asia has wonderful convenience stores. There's something very comforting about going in and knowing knowing what's there, and something about the lighting.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Japanese ones. I mean, they're famous for having like really good food
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, there's you find everything there. Um, Miko Kawakami's Breasts and Eggs also, explores some issues around reproduction, the kind of relationship between mother and child, and things like that. Um, and then maybe on the transnational level, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel,
Oh,
which
right,
is
yeah.
um, yeah, I won't say too much, but I
That's
think
it's kind of apocalyptic, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
um, it's an interesting read for our post-COVID times.
Okay. I think I read it before COVID. I'm now trying to recall. It'd be interesting to read since that.
It
Okay. Yeah.
also spans, different countries and
Mm,
kind of, allows us to look at the connections between places and people.
yeah. And I suppose, for anybody who does read A Tale for the Time Being, we should mention Ozeki's other works. So you mentioned A Year of Meats, or My Year of Meats, sorry. Um, the other ones I'm familiar with, The Book of Form and Emptiness is
Oh,
the most recent.
yeah, the most
Um,
recent. And then all over creation.
All Over Creation is earlier, and that's very much about the environment, isn't it? Which is we didn't so much talk about it today, but it is in background of A Tale for the Time Being, isn't it? And it's
Hmm.
very much central to that, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and the other one is Time Code of a Face. Are you familiar with that?
No,
I
haven't.
think it's non-fiction. I think she did some sort of experiment about looking at herself. So it sounds very interesting, but it's not a novel as far as I know. Um, but yeah, I mean, she has written a number of other things, and you get several of the same themes. They tend to be transnational. There's quite readable style as well, aren't they?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other recommendations, or are those the ones you'd suggest?
Yeah. Maybe further afield, I would also recommend A Gesture Life by Chang-Rae Lee,
Mm,
um, which is about military comfort women during the Second World War,
mm,
and again takes us to the Pacific theater of the Second World War, um, looking at, and also, well, also transnational in that it's also set partly in the US, right?
yeah.
It's about immigrant men. Um, Also plays with issues of, race and identity.
Mhm.
It's the protagonist is an ethnically Korean man who was adopted by a Japanese family, served in the war, and then moved to the US after the
Mm.
war. Um, and then maybe also Severance by Ling Ma. also a kind of apocalyptic novel that
Mm.
might, resonate well for readers in this post-COVID time as well. Yeah, those are my recommendations.
Okay. So plenty to keep people going, particularly around issues of apocalypse and these kinds of things. Thank you for those recommendations. I'm sure, I've read some of those, and yeah, some excellent suggestions in there, and a few that are on my list. So thank you for sharing those. And yeah, thank you very much for the discussion on Tale for the Time Being.
Thanks again for having me.
You're very welcome.